It's time for the Yacht Club Show.
Needed now more than ever.
With Killer, Rev D, and Dr. Jim.
Well, welcome back, Yacht Club Show listeners. We're a little earlier with our follow-up show, not following our usual pattern of 3 months between shows. So
we like it. We like to keep them on there.
Yeah, good start for 2024.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll squeeze in a few more episodes this year.
Maybe not.
It gets tough after this with schedules. So.
I'm a little concerned about Dr. Jim's enthusiasm today, but maybe after the next round of the beer playoffs,
he's got a lot on his mind.
Pick up.
He's going on vacation and
he's got his vacation haircut.
He does.
See that?
He's got a pack.
Yeah, he's got a pack. Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in his.
Yeah, I get it.
And there's a lot going on in his mind anyway.
That's right.
We know
gears are always turning. Always.
So very true.
Right.
So we'll spare our listeners all of the process here. We'll probably cut in and out here as we do round 2 of the beer playoffs. But already Dave's throwing another wrinkle in this thing. We had an agreement last week.
We did?
We did. We said we are going to do the full-bodied versions of the light beers that we drank this week.
Oh, well, we didn't.
Okay.
We
so explain what you got there, Rev.
Well, I've got 4 what we would call traditional, I don't know, what's an American beer? Pilsner or lager?
Pilsner or lager.
Okay, 4 traditional that you would, that we drank as kids.
Excellent.
as high school.
This is how this all started. We talked about beers we drank. I wonder if you can even tell the difference anymore. Certainly craft beers with the fruit flavors, the IPAs, but the old traditional, I think the question arose, can you even tell them apart, to be honest?
So here's what I ran into, because I wanted to get a single can of each, as I told you guys. You can't, it's hard to find single cans. So I had a mixture of 12 ounce and 16 ounce. So we had to pour, my wife Kay, as you can see, she poured them all in mason jars, hermetically sealed mason jars here, okay? And
tip of the hat to Kay for
the effort she really got into this. I
Yeah.
would not have put this much effort into it. Okay, but so I've got 4 traditional, I don't know, Pilsner lagers or American beer, whatever you have to call an American beer here. Okay, that we can can try. Okay. So
excellent.
Shall we start?
I think this is great. Yeah.
Shall we start?
So what's the process here?
All right. I don't think the palate cleansing did anything for us last time, did it? Okay.
You got to have a bowl after it. That'll be your reward.
Here's number 1. So there's my Killer. You pace yourself, will you?
I just came in there for a little drink, before going to work. Just started to settle my nerves.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a brain surgeon. You know what?
What?
The brain is the most important. It's the most important part about the human body. You just think. Give it a little thought now. Just what would a man be without a brain?
A politician.
That reminds me, I've got to get back to the hospital.
No, you want me to give you a lift?
Oh, of course not. I wouldn't think of driving with anybody in your condition.
We just lost Dr. Jim.
Okay. He's cleaning up.
He wants us to be neat. He doesn't want any beer rings on his table here.
I don't care if you're not neat. Just,
Got it.
All right. So we all have number 1. Okay, we've all poured number 1. Slow down, Killer. Geez, Pete, Killer. All right, so we each have 4.
Four.
Killer. Well,
Sorry,
you,
man.
you just need a sip. All right, so that's number 4. Okay. All right. Number 1?
Number
How
one.
do we
Number one.
going to proceed?
Why are you taking 2 sips there? You
I
want
might take 3.
You want to let your palate.
I might take
you want to
3.
get your palate rust.
I got to commit to memory because we have 4 beers here.
All right. Well, I think it'll pop out.
Okay.
Which one you like? Okay. Number 2. Not a large difference, but
Are you sure these are popular beers?
I'm telling you, when you were 16, they were.
Should we do a 1 and 2 so we can kind of at least get that?
Oh, you want to get okay. So okay, we'll do 1 and 2.
All right,
We'll
let me
vote
do them
1
again. Beer 1 brings back memories. My grandpa had a rental place for dances and parties out in the country, and it just had the smell of stale beer and cigar smoke, and that's what beer 1 brings me right back to that.
Well, I don't.
As a result, number 1 by far for me.
I'll go number 1, but I wouldn't say it by far. I don't think there's much difference to me.
To me, there's a lot of difference. And
Well, you've got a refined palate, though.
yeah, 1 is
does.
the winner, and 2 is
Awful.
awful. I don't know what.
Well,
it
it just kind of had a different taste at the end.
I don't even know.
And even at the beginning.
I'm almost
All right.
going to say it tastes almost like somebody mixed beer and cider or something.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gotta
All right.
really-
So number 2 is out.
Number 2 is out.
Number 2 is out.
Number 2 is
So
out.
we're
So I'm going to bring forward
Okay, number 3.
number 3.
I like that.
Interesting.
Now we're going to do 3 versus 1 here? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go 3. 3 for me.
I'm leaning that way.
I like both of them are. I shouldn't say I like them. I don't.
Like too strong a word.
They're not bad. This one's got a little more flavor to it. I think a little more body to it. So I'll go
Which
with
one?
3.
Number 3, yes.
All right, 3.
All right, 3?
Yeah,
okay.
so 3 is it now.
So 3 beat 1.
Wow, how come we're always on the same page?
I don't know,
with
but
this?
I want to reserve my judgment on this as far as 1 goes, but I'm leaning towards 3. But
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's close.
All right,
I'm going to do.
I'm
a
going to go
little-
3.
So now what do we do? 3 and 4.
3 and 4, I guess, right? Because 1 and 2 are out. Okay, 4.
I like 4. It's smooth, and it's got enough flavor to keep me happy. So 4 for me, but it doesn't have as much bite.
I like the bite of 3.
Yeah, I get it.
myself.
I understand. 3 and 4, huh?
I like the bite of 3 a little bit better myself.
I'm inclined a little towards 4. It has a little more body to it, but
I'm a
was
4.
nice little.
You're a 4?
So 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3
I
took
think
4.
4 wins.
Okay, all right. So
Right?
4,
Is that
yeah,
why-
we'll do
Jim,
that.
are you good with that?
I'm good.
Yeah,
Two of the-
okay,
two-
so
two-
we figure 4 is the best.
So 2 was the worst. Let's see what
So you
number
say
2
2
was.
is? Okay, I did.
Let me take a guess. That one is just going by the lightness of the color. I'm going to say that one is Coors.
No, I'll tell you ahead of time. I could not find Coors.
Oh,
I
Just
couldn't
Coors
find
Light,
Coors
huh?
Light. So this is number 2.
Number 2, we eliminated
it's
right
not
away.
Coors. I don't know what this.
Okay, I threw a Mickey in on you. Number 2 was Athletic Beer Company. That's a non-alcoholic beer.
Where's the alarm bells?
What?
This completely negated now.
What? You didn't like it?
Well, that's good. So now
Right, she
we
didn't
know,
like
and
it.
I've been drinking Athletic,
So have I.
and now I know it truly does not stack up in taste to the full. And maybe that's a good test.
Which one is it?
This was the Upside Down.
Oh, okay.
Not the
Yeah, and
not
I
the
picked
IPA.
that up usually.
Yeah.
That's the one I like too of the.
Yeah,
And it does not stack up with the full
Well,
alcohol.
it does.
But it-
Maybe unfair to even think of it as a beer. I mean, why criticize it as being a bad beer when it's not a
It's not
beer?
even a beer. You're bringing non-beers into this now,
look,
Rev D. What is going on
I
here?
just want to throw a little,
Throw a little curveball.
what your palates were like. I didn't know what
look
your
at the
palates.
You know, it's a good test of our palate, Jim.
Yeah.
We identified the
Also-
non-alcohol
also,
beer right away.
You know, it's like, you people will drink anything. No, we won't.
Well,
we
again,
have discerning taste.
if Athletic was on special,
If Athletic was on special and it
He
had
still
no
wouldn't get
alcohol
it.
in it, why would I
Yeah,
be buying
Dr.
it?
Jim, he's...
I kind of like it because I can drink more than one.
Oh, that's
No,
true.
that's,
no,
you know,
I have no problem. I do drink it.
I do.
I sit down at dinner one time. Sometimes I don't want a glass of water. I don't want to.
Right.
I don't think Athletic's
Beer?
going to sponsor this show anytime
no,
soon.
not anytime
No,
soon.
but-
But I like the IPA.
Athletic Brewing
I'll
Company.
tell you that.
Oh, the blue.
I like the idea,
blue
and
one.
I can drink it, but interesting when you compare it to the
there.
full-bodied
Okay.
domestics, it from a taste perspective,
And I don't know if
it doesn't match up.
If you've read about them, Athletic beer is bumping. I mean, they
Yeah.
are going crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not very much.
Well, I do
Well-
if it's all relative, right? Jim wouldn't drink it because it doesn't have any alcohol. If it's the only thing available, I'll drink it. You know.
If it's that or a die of thirst, I guess I'll drink it.
Those are
Okay.
Jim's two options.
so
We'll
we'll
drink
go. This is number one.
it. Number
This was
one,
the first one out.
we kind of liked.
No, we didn't. You
We
did.
liked it better than the.
We liked it better than the Athletic,
Right.
but
Yeah, and Jim and I were kind of bouncing back and forth between 1 and 3.
Yeah.
So it
wasn't awful.
It wasn't a
awful.
casual
It
toss
wasn't.
off.
it was Labatt's.
Okay.
Labatt's was number
Right.
one.
Number
Interesting. Okay.
All right.
Labatt's isn't going to be sponsoring us anytime soon.
So Athletic and Labatt's are out.
They're out. Don't even bother.
Number three.
Number
which
three,
was my,
which,
I
Wait a minute. Number 3, yeah, that came in second because,
Yeah, that was my
this is,
first,
This
but
is
this
Rev
was-
D's.
okay.
He got one first place vote.
Pabst.
Pabst.
I'm the one that suggested Pabst, too, and you were saying, Pabst? No one drinks Pabst.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I guess I do now.
Well, I'm glad to see Pabst did okay in this
Okay.
test.
All right.
Number 4, drum roll, please.
Okay.
This
It's going to be the dread.
It's got 2 first place votes out of 3.
Oh. Budweiser.
I knew it.
The king of.
I'm a
King
bud
of
drinker.
beers. You're a bud person.
I'm a bud man.
You're a bud
Me and
man.
Harry Carey, Cub fan,
I
bud
think
man.
it's bud person now. Okay.
Huh?
I think it's bud person now. I don't think you'd be a
Oh,
bud
can't say man anymore. That's right. I'm a bud person.
So you're a bud person.
Nice test. A little round of applause
Yeah.
for Kay.
Yeah.
Get the audience take on this. Nice job, Kay Morrison, Rev D's wife. Thank you, Kay.
So all right, now we've got these mason jars full of.
By the end of the show, there'll be.
Okay, so
there'll
you
be
have.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Slancha. All right, last week we talked about our current analysis of the presidential race, and obviously specifically about the job Biden has done, and a little bit about Trump and our concerns about the election. And I had my cousin Eric listen to the show, and he enjoyed it. But he said, you know what, you guys really could use a liberal point of view because you guys tend to lean a little right. And I described.
We're right down the road, out in the middle of the road.
We're centrist.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was Eric's observation anyway. And I know we picked on Joe Biden and some of his domestic successes or lack of successes. So Eric suggested that we bring a liberal voice to the show. So everyone likes that, Eric. So introducing liberal cousin Eric. Thanks for joining the show, Eric.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on. You know, I was really hoping to talk, coming on to talk about beer and Taylor Swift. And
We can do that too. We have a pretty loose format here.
the Taylor Swift craziness is just, it's so fun. You know, I think there are some liberals out there that were hoping that Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce would propose to Taylor Swift on the field after the game and then endorse Joe Biden and electric cars and all kinds of different liberal stuff. But that didn't happen, so...
So you're disappointed.
No, that's the most ridiculous thing ever.
I'm glad you said that is the most ridiculous thing. I had no idea what her politics are one way or the other.
Nor do I care.
Nor do I care, yeah. It was, it was the game. Can we just
Right.
watch the game and not watch all this other stuff?
Yeah, all that other stuff is just, it's entertainment, and that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening
Nothing to do with politics, because politics is serious business.
Well, you know what the big buzz is today, though? I was listening to Mad Dog Sports Radio on Sirius. Michelle Beadle and Cody Decker, I think, there the afternoon. And the big conversation was Kelsey pushing Andy Reid and kind of losing his temper, and how that was a bad look for a guy who's in 90% of the commercials these days and is kind of the face of the NFL.
Yep, no, I saw that, and that I agree. I was a little surprised by that. I'm surprised Andy Reid didn't sit him for the game after that happened, but you know, you can't take your best guy off the field.
Yeah, that's.
And I think the big debate was, imagine if that was another player.
Ooh.
The reaction would have been completely different. Guys, come on.
That's true. No, that's true.
We're giving Travis a pass. Oh, Dave and Jim,
I don't
they're
know.
shaking their head.
I
They
don't
think
know
I'm
if that
crazy.
was that big a deal.
It sounds like woke paranoia to me.
Yeah,
Really?
That's. I mean, it's the in the heat of the battle.
Oh,
You
let me
know?
see. A football player pushed the coach. Oh no!
Yeah. I just you go back to the Holy Family softball days. You know, look at how crazy.
Greg and players
Yeah,
bumping their
come on.
chests, right?
Yeah. Okay, that was a non-event.
I guess these guys are thinking it's a nothing burger, Eric. So they're not impressed.
I think Travis Kelce got a little worked up and got a little over.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He was ticked because it was right after the fumble, and he was feeling that if he was in the game, he would have blocked the guy that caused the fumble. So he feels like, you know, they were frustrated because they couldn't move the ball anyway against.
Yeah, they looked terrible up to that.
That first San Francisco.
Half.
The first half was totally dominated by San Francisco.
It was.
And
They were up by 10, were they?
They were up by 10, but they just totally dominated the game. They took themselves out of it. They were driving on their opening drive, and then the Golden Boy fumbled the ball, and then they held Kansas City to nothing. Next time they got the ball, they committed, you know, two procedure penalties and a holding penalty, and they wound up punting the ball. I mean, it was like, even in that one, they had like 2 first downs and then 3 penalties in a row. I mean, they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Or the deep state
Yeah.
conspiracy actually came true.
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up, but it was San Francisco that got penalized. You know, so that would be something. It's more than a grain of sand in that one. Would Kansas City get penalized for those same penalties?
Yeah, and here we are kidding about it. So
yeah, of course. Yes, of course. We're kidding, right?
Well, I just needed to clarify that.
All right. No, good for bringing that up. We often don't, really go broad enough in our paranoia here. We need to bring in everyone's paranoia.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's switch to
Joe Biden.
What's that? Let's switch to Joe Biden. I know. I think we gave the Yacht Club show gave Joe. I don't know if we gave him a failing grade. I think I mentioned a C or a D on domestic policy. We gave him a little bit higher marks for foreign. Let's start with domestic. Were we too harsh on him? And if you think so, tell us where we were too harsh.
Yeah, I think Biden's domestic policy is more like a B+. Remember what Biden's guiding principle was when he took office is to rescue, I don't know if rescue is the right word, but to improve the lives of the bottom half of the economic spectrum. So, build America from the bottom up and the middle out. So that was what Bidenomics was all about. And remember that, 40 years of Reaganomics and 40 years of supply side or trickle down or whatever you want to call it has not worked. And there's been, quite a few publications in the last 5-6 years to prove that fact. So I think what Biden's policies have been about, or the Democrats' policies have been about, is really about strengthening the economy after the pandemic, which was no fault of Trump's. No, don't get me wrong. The pandemic wasn't caused by Donald Trump. He mishandled it for sure. But I think that it was really to revive and rescue the economy from where it ended up after the pandemic. So think about legislation like the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, taking on big pharma over high drug prices, reining in banks, shoring up the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, child tax credit, those things like that, Affordable Care Act. So I'll stop there and leave room for rebuttal.
Okay.
The economy was one of the big things that you mentioned in the last show, and I think the economy it has proven over the last year that the economy it's the best in the world as far as industrialized countries, G7 countries. 2023 was supposed to be a recession year, but we had the highest growth of any G7 country in 2023, outpacing inflation, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. Since I'm the least informed, I'm going to start and then let the big guns jump in.
Sure.
I just don't see where the economy for the little guy has been improved at all, because basically his war on big oil and his push for electrification. And I'm just going to start with one stat here. Ford Motor Company lost $4.7 billion last year on its electric vehicle program, and because of aggressive pushes to go toward electrification, that costs a lot of people in the Detroit area jobs. And I've known so many people that were impacted by that. In addition, the war on oil, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be taking incremental measures. Look at the price of transportation, the price of groceries, the price of everything, the price at the pump. Now, I know it's gone down recently, but we've increased oil production despite what Biden really wanted to attempt. But I personally feel like Biden has hurt the little guy. That's just my personal opinion. But I will pass it over to, and Eric, all respect, I know there's a lot of truth in what you're saying, but that's just been my observation. So I want to let, and by the way, consumer credit, I can't remember how many trillion. Our credit debt as consumers has gone up 50% last year. So, how was that a sign that people are being able to afford things? I mean, it's just completely out of control. But anyway, let me pass it over to these guys, and they can ask questions or whatever. This is not, I don't want this to be a Kelsey Andy Reid match here. I want to hear each other out, but those are my general concerns about Biden's policies.
And these are discussions, and before I'll make one statement before I. Price increases, especially since the pandemic, are not a product of Biden or Democratic legislation or policy. It's been driven by supply and demand, greedflation by corporations who are jacking prices because they could, because everybody else was. Oil prices were not driven by Biden policies. It was strictly supply and demand. So, and I can, there's tons of different things that I can point to that support my argument, but I'll let it leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it common sense.
Sure.
The war on oil is real. It's real. It jacked up. I'm sorry. All right. I got to back off. I got to let the true conservatives at the table.
Wait. We're moderates. We decided.
Centrists. We're going to let the true centrists talk here. I'm going to let the libertarian and the moderate Republican here.
In fact, blue is my favorite color.
Go. Who wants to start?
Go.
All right. I think Eric makes some fair points.
He does, absolutely.
No, with the Infrastructure Act and the some of the other things that he's done, Biden's done. Do you think? And I'm not asking this, Eric. I'm just it comes down to, do you believe that those were good things? And that's where I would say not. I don't see where they're good ideas, but the implementation isn't good or hasn't been good to my mind. I think there is a war on oil. Okay, we should be self-sufficient, but I do believe Biden sold his soul to the green side to get the nomination. So he's very careful what he does there. I think the inflation was a large part of that was the stimulus checks that came out.
A lot of money floating around.
A lot of money floating
Pumped
around.
into the system,
and I will say that I don't know if it was Trump or Biden who did the first one. It doesn't, but I was in favor of that because
even us getting checks.
I was in favor of that.
You were.
Yeah, I'm always big.
I'm always in favor of getting
but
it.
you know that it's end up hitting the taxpayer.
Well,
right?
it does, but
But I'm not a taxpayer. I'm retired.
But at that time, we thought the world was going to end.
We did.
Okay, so
The fog of war, right?
Yeah, the fog of war. So I'm not the first one. I'm okay. The next, was there one or two more? Did we get two or three?
We got at least two.
At least
There
two.
were 3 total.
Three.
were
Okay.
there?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. There were 3. The last 2, I think, were just pandering to the public, and that's contributed to the. And you're right. The supply chain. With the pandemic, that
was horrible.
That went to hell.
The backup and the ports.
That was all bad. But I think some of the policy decisions made fed into the inflation. And the other things that, that's what the debate, are these things good or bad for the economy? And I would argue on the other side that they're bad. And I'm not a Trump fan, but I got to say that before the pandemic, the economy, for whatever reason, was bumping. Okay, and was bumping, was going along good,
was moving along okay.
And I
bumping, yes, okay.
I know my 401k never looks
well,
so good.
and I think a lot of that is there wasn't so much regulation on business. Now, again, you can argue if that's good or bad.
Right.
If we get into the somebody's got to set the rules of the sandbox,
Sure.
or everything goes to hell. But I just think that overall we've been on a downslide with Biden.
Well, and if you look at economic indicators, Trump's time in office, the economy contracted. We lost 2.9 or some 3 million jobs, added trillions to the deficit with his tax cuts. I mean, I understand the 401k is what it is, but the S&P just hit record highs multiple times in a row in the last 60 days because we are now recovered from the pandemic. But it's because of Democratic Biden-era policies that have gotten us here.
But is that inflation bumping up some of the value of this stuff? That's my question.
No, I don't know about that. I think, we've... With the Chips and Science Act and the infrastructure legislation, we've created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in the U.S. just since Biden took office. So we're bringing manufacturing back. We're onshoring manufacturing. We're bringing them back home. You look at some of the things that Ohio, we're getting a huge Intel plant. They would have never thought of manufacturing chips in Ohio.
Governor DeWine, there you go.
Okay, Governor DeWine, he's a Republican. Those are things that are huge economic boons for the U.S. is to and we saw it in the pandemic. The supply chains that were specifically in the Pac Rim, that everything was being manufactured in China, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam. All of that stuff was stalled, and we couldn't get anything here. We couldn't buy anything, especially in the auto industry. And Killer, this. The auto industry came to an absolute halt. You couldn't buy a new car. for a year?
Yeah, because of the microchips.
Couldn't get the parts.
Because of the it's specifically the chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, the microprocessors. That's what really held it back.
Bring that manufacturing back. Bring some of that research and development back to the U.S. where it belongs. That to me, that's gonna pay for itself 20 years from now. We'll all be dead.
Eric, I can tell you're being effective here because Dr. Jim, I've never seen him speechless like this. He's been quiet as a church mouse here, right?
We haven't touched on a few topics here about something like border policy. How is your feeling on the border policy?
Okay. So
I figured I'd pick an easy one first.
Pick an easy one. 2.5 million illegal immigrants last year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric. What's your take on it?
We should have a separate
yes.
show
Okay.
just on the immigration issue. That a bipartisan group of senators put together legislation to help get control of the southern border, and Republicans voted it down, even though they said for months, well, we got to get border policy developed.
Would they tie it to funding for Ukraine?
And voted it down.
Yeah. I think they were trying to tie it to funding for Ukraine, weren't they? Which I know that's no excuse. That's really no excuse in the whole scheme of things.
No, because Ukraine needs to be funded too. And so does Israel, I guess.
Okay.
Careful, Eric. Don't want to.
I'm going to fall into something there.
All your criticisms of Republicans are well founded. As far as I'm concerned, the way this country is being run today is the Republicans are basically a dysfunctional party, and they have nothing to contribute to the governance of this country. The Democrats are in disarray and really just jumping from popular issue to popular issue. And I find there is little leadership from either of the political parties. We are being run by the president issuing executive orders and the court systems acting as a check and balance on the president. And that's everything we've got going. The rest of all Congress is doing is naming post offices. There is just this whole dysfunctional state of things that I see going on, and I'm just not sure where the leadership is that's going to get us out of this. Now let's look at one of Biden's flagship issues, energy policy. Okay, what is the energy policy? How much energy do we need as a country? How can we get that energy? And what is the plan to get us there?
Yeah, so somebody mentioned, and maybe it was Rev D mentioned that Biden has sidled in the Green New Deal kind of camp.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, so I don't want to miss.
No, he did.
That's fair.
That's fair. That was what he said.
Yeah, but climate change. So I think climate change is a real problem. I think carbon-based power sources in use today that don't need to be eliminated. Coal and gas-fired energy sources to generate electricity should be replaced. So I'm talking about solar is probably the most promising power generation that there is right now. They're putting massive solar arrays all over. I see them everywhere around northern Ohio and southern Michigan. They're these huge solar arrays that are generating millions of 1.21 gigawatts, as Doc Brown would say. And I think those things have merit. And I think electric cars, they're not the answer yet, but I think they might be.
There you go. I like that. Might be. There's been such an aggressive push, and the consumer is rejecting it. And there are so many things. This is stuff that no one thinks about. If you run an electric vehicle into a barrier on the expressway, it's disaster because of the weight of the battery. No one thinks about safety of this stuff. It's just like, we got to get to electric vehicles. You got to get. What about the disposal of the batteries? What about the impact of the climate to make the batteries? You know, it's just so easy to say we need to electrify, but there's so many tentacles to this that I don't think anyone is looking at as a whole. And the consumer is outright rejecting them. Ford Motor Company lost $4.7 billion on his electrical vehicle program. Very few, I'm not saying no one, very few people want electric. Hybrid made all the sense in the world. And that's how you kind of get there gradually. But it's been so aggressive. And I've seen so many internal combustion engineers, brilliant people, let go, and it's just really sad because they don't have the electric vehicle skills. Here's another thing: fewer components, less people required to build the car, less people required to engineer the car. Where are the jobs going to be? There's just so many things that if you look at it from a holistic point of view, I don't know. Go ahead.
Mike, I think you're making good points, but so does it. Okay, let's assume Eric's right that climate change is man-made, and I think that's what you're saying. Man is the biggest driver of that. Okay,
if it's not man-made, but at least we can take measures.
Well,
to slow it down,
I'm willing to say maybe. Okay.
We've contributed.
Yeah.
You can't argue that,
we've contributed.
Right?
Okay. But we're trying to get from A to G without going to B, C, D.
That's my point.
That's what I see as the problem.
And that's what the government does. They'll say they'll put their thumb up, in the wind, see which way it's blowing, and say, all right, by 2030 we have to be 50% electric or whatever. It's like, and now it's up to the car companies. And I'm not, I know they're making a lot of money, but now it's them to figure out how in the hell are we going to do this. And does the consumer even want this? And I think that's kind of where we're at. I think it's all a mess right now. I really do. It's just, I don't know what the true path forward is.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, Mike. Your argument about the weight of the batteries in a car crash, I think the weight of a Tesla versus the weight of a Cadillac Escalade's probably, I think the Tesla is lighter than the Escalade. But the argument of where does the carbon pollution come from? Does it come out of the tailpipe of the car, or does it come out of the smokestack of the power generation that's generating the electricity to charge them?
Why does the United States always have to take it on the chin?
Yeah, we have to take the lead and invest the most money, but I think investing in these technologies to develop them further is a significant thing. I think it's worthwhile. Hybrid engine technology has been out for 25 years, Mike?
Right.
It's still never really gotten much better. You're still looking at 50 miles to the gallon, depending on the size of the car. But
not bad.
Yeah, no, it is. No, it's good. But the auto industry is also doing other things, like putting 4 cylinders in full-size trucks. Ford's doing it. And, the U.S. is stuck around its gasoline internal combustion engines, but in the U.K. they're developing compressed hydrogen as another solution, where the end result of the combustion process is water coming out of the tailpipe.
But what you're saying supports, I think, what we're saying is, the jump to EV was too aggressive. Let's start looking at this other stuff. Let's take a more methodical approach. Let's, instead of going from A to G, let's go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And maybe compressed hydrogen is the way to go. Maybe we can improve the hybrid technology. But it's just these mandates that come down. And then everyone's left scrambling, and it's just not well planned. That's my biggest beef. I agree. Something has to be done.
So I guess I would have to say, and I have very little disagreement with anything you guys are saying, but the fault I found, just bringing this back to Biden and not knowing so much him, because he's not a nuclear physicist, so we can't count on him to give us the technical details personally, is that is there a plan somewhere, some 100-page plan that says here's where we are and here's where we're going to be and how we're going to get there? And wouldn't it be so much more helpful for the Democrats and Biden if they could share that plan with the people that they need to go along with them? I don't even believe it exists. I think they go from week to week, and whatever is the most politically expedient thing for them to do that seems to generally move in a direction that they think we ought to be going, that's what they do. The whole subject of almost every problem that we have is total distrust in the institutions that are supposed to do these things for us. So I don't know how that. So I guess Mike was telling me today, he was like he was sort of like characterizing all of us here as to what our political leanings is. Dave is a little more traditional Republican. He calls me a libertarian. And Mike, of course, is like
I'm a centrist, I guess.
He's a centrist.
I voted for Biden, and I probably in a Biden versus Trump election would probably vote for Biden.
Okay, so I come from the side that says okay, the government that does less is more effective than the government that does more. And the only argument against that is they have to prove their case. If they can prove to me that what they're doing is actually going to be an improvement on doing nothing, then I'll support them.
Well, I think in the long run it could be, but man, you're sacrificing a generation of people.
But the thing is, you don't even
through the nose.
They're not even putting up an argument under the most ideal conditions that says yes. This is the way it's going to work out for everybody's benefit.
Right.
This is G. Does everybody agree, G, this is the place we want to be?
I think we all agree there. Yeah.
A net zero environment that the world never releases one molecule of CO2 except for a cow fart.
Right. Hey, we get rid of cows. That's part of the
plan. You've heard that.
Well,
we're not going to eat meat.
I think we came to a consensus that one of the things we need to do is we need to eliminate pets.
Yes, that was Dr. Jim's solution. I don't know if you heard that. It was brilliant. Just get rid of all of the pets.
Number one, they are genuine CO2 producers, and then you have all those industries that feed them and give them medicine and give them their little fur jackets to take them out when it's 50 degrees out so they don't get cold.
But we agreed that little chihuahuas, they're okay. Right?
No, I never.
You want to get rid of all pets.
I want to.
This is very tongue in cheek, Eric.
We have to. You can't start making exceptions. This is how you get in trouble. You guys misunderstood me.
Yeah. I think one of the big things that I heard was if we could just stop cows from farting, this whole thing would be solved.
Well, it would go a long way. I would accept that. Except I don't know how you do that in India. India doesn't allow you to do anything to the cows.
Cows,
there.
Yeah. They're sacred animals.
And there's a lot of them there.
Well, I think maybe the homework for the next one might be to find a legitimate climate plan from any area in government that's legitimate. Maybe not just the Biden administration, but the EPA or the WHO.
Eric, I agree with Jim. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I honestly can't speak to it because I honestly think that Jim's got me on that one. I don't know that it exists.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying it would be so much to Biden's benefit and his administration if they could say, yeah, here it is, right here, black and white.
Eric, this has been great. I mean, you brought a lot of good information. You've done your homework. I think it's a great discussion. I think this adds to the show. Having someone from the left, I wouldn't call you a kooky liberal. I think, truth be told, there's a far left, a far right. I think we're all kind of in the middle somewhere. You might be center left, we might be center right. It's just having these discussions. And Rev D said this before. Why can't we just get in a room and hash this out. But now there's no consensus anymore. It's just
You got to win or lose.
Not only, well, there's the issue that the politicians are going to do whatever is in the individual politician's
the party.
best.
No, it's more the party even, right?
Well, I think
think-
it's that. I want to get reelected.
It's individuals now.
I want to get
Yeah.
reelected. That's
Yeah.
it. Nobody ever left government poor. So there's a lot of incentive for these guys to keep their job.
Yeah, anyway, good discussion. Gosh, I really appreciate you.
Let's do this again.
Let's do it again.
I would love to.
And that's why you bring an element that probably been missing from the show.
Sure.
So, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for letting me be on, and good discussion. I really
It was, and you brought some really good insight, clarification. You brought some data.
An alternate point
Eric
of
is
view.
data-driven. You
point,
can
yeah.
tell he's an IT guy. He's
I'm
data-driven.
an IT guy, Mike. You know that.
I know that, yeah.
And this will jumpstart your career now, Eric.
So this is great. I hope we can do this on a regular basis. Get the.
Yeah, as we get close to the election, it'd be good to
let's
to do this
I'm all
again.
for it.
All right. Well, we'll bid adieu to liberal cousin Eric. Thanks, Eric.
All right.
See you,
Thanks,
Eric.
guys.
So long, Eric.
Back to this, we talked about, with electrification of vehicles going from A to G without a plan, or just some of this energy policy of the current administration. I got a quote from Dwight D. Eisenhower. President Dwight D. Eisenhower once warned that you don't lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership. And I really think that's what this administration is doing. They're kind of hitting us over the head.
Right.
It's not leadership.
Yep.
Give us a plan.
I'm reminded of a quote. It's P.J. O'Rourke.
P.J. O'Rourke, he's from
Wow.
Toledo, by the way.
Was he?
My
I didn't know
hometown,
that.
yeah.
All right. Government.
Eric's hometown.
Government is just a form of bullying for weaklings.
Bullying for weaklings? Wow.
Wow.
That's
Government is a form of bullying for the people who were bullied.
P.J. O'Rourke and Eisenhower are on the same page then.
Yep.
Anything else? No.
I do want to bring up one. There is, our house band. Who
Yeah,
we
Nestor.
Probably.
Our house band.
Wait,
Probably neglected.
Would they be pleased?
I have reason to believe. I have reason to believe that they would be pleased.
Okay,
if we
all
were
right,
to-
all right. We didn't
I
want to
have
besmirch anybody.
I have my finger on the pulse of the
music industry.
Well, not the music industry. Say the aging, retro rock.
Yeah.
How would you describe
Genre. Classic rock, I guess,
Classic
to some
rock,
degree.
all right.
Not
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. Is what
it?
Not Taylor Swift.
If you think about Taylor Swift and everything that is not Taylor Swift, that's what these guys are.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, they're good.
But my understanding is, and this is probably, this audience is going to be the first place
breaking.
in the Western Hemisphere to
breaking
hear
news.
this.
Breaking news.
Nestor will be releasing their new album May 31st of this year.
Wow.
Wow.
And lyrics by?
Some of the lyrics by my offspring, Ben Cunningham.
Oh. Whoa.
Well, there'll be a future album with credits, and there'll be in special thanks to Dr. Jim Cunningham.
That would be
there.
Someday.
That would
That'd
be
be-
someday.
nice.
That'd be worth its
I
weight in
For the
gold.
inspiration.
I like that. Yeah. So maybe we may even get. I kind of probed this to see if it might be possible. We may even get a track
Whoa.
close to the release date.
That we can put on the show.
Yeah.
Ooh, like an early
release.
Early release. I'm telling you, we're well connected.
This is, well, we knew this. We were working last 6 months or so. It's, the show is like on fire. So, it's
Matthias probably was hoping we could get a couple mentions on the Yacht Club show.
Well, you know what? We'll have to see where record sales increase, and then we'll know where our 1,000 listeners are.
If we're in China, yeah.
Maybe we can get.
Hey, Matthias, where did you see the big uptick? That's where we'll know where.
And we also maybe we can get Matthias to give us a shout out at the concert.
At the concert, yeah. Yeah, man, this just gets better and better.
We thank the Yacht Club for all their...
Maybe Matthias will fly us out for one of his concerts.
This is
European
what's
concerts.
called, what do they call that? Synergy or...
Yeah, that's what's happening now in marketing. The cross-marketing.
Right, cross-marketing, right.
Here we go.
Right. All right.
Yeah, so...
Well, go, Nestor. And, look forward to an early preview of the new album.
We'll see. I can't. Don't hold me to that. I'm working on it.
You're working on it.
See if we can spring a cut loose.
Maybe if you could listen to one and then sing it to us. Maybe.
Oh, there you go.
Or
Dr. Jim will sing it.
That would be
one or the other.
Man, that would be something.
Yeah.
I guess you want to get rid of those 3,000 people.
And look at that. Just right on cue.
There's the bastards calling.
Catch you next time. Music by War on Drugs, as found on the Internet Archives, archive.org.